Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Apero. I'm a member of Team Aretuza and today I will be taking you through my top 5 steps and then 2 additional tips for what to do after you finish the GWENT tutorial. It's a common question. You finish the tutorial and then what now? Well, hopefully this will give you some guidance. As usual, let's not talk too much about it. Let's just get straight into the good stuff. When you first start playing GWENT, you will have access to all of the factions' starter decks. You can see them here for Scoia'tael, Northern Realms, Nilfgaard, Skellige, and Monsters. Now, when you have access to these decks, it is highly recommended that you play them. And my advice is to try each of them out for 5 to 10 games. It doesn't have to be a lot, just enough for you to get a feel for what each faction is about and how its gameplay kind of runs. This will give you a chance to really get a grip on what playstyle works best for you. This leads us straight into our second step, which is to pick one. You've tried them all out, you now know more or less how each one works, but surely there's one, maybe two, that really catches your fancy. Well, choose one. The more you can specialize early on, the better the long-term game will be for you. Obviously, you're not going to play only one faction for the rest of your GWENT career, so to speak, but for now, this is the best way forward. So, do you like bleeding other units? Choose monsters. Do you like stealing other units? Play Nilfgaard. It's really up to you which one you choose, just choose. Another thing that can make this choice a little bit easier is checking out some of the meta snapshots, for example on the Team Aretuza webpage, which I will link down there. Now, if you go and check that out, you can have a look at what some of the big play decks are right now. And if you choose one, that's a really good way forward for you because that gives you a sense of direction as to what kind of deck you want to build towards. So pick a faction, pick a deck, preferably, and then let's move on to step number 3. Step number 3 is really very simple. Play ranked. Now, when I say ranked, what I mean is classic mode without the unranked button checked. Let me show you. So first, in the main screen here, you click on play, you see classic, and you do not click this button. If you click that, suddenly you're in an unranked game. So we do not want that clicked. We want it to look like this, and then we click on Classic. Now, there's a very good and simple reason for this, and that is that Classic ranked mode is the only mode that has matchmaking. Now, if you are a new player and you go into unranked, you are highly likely to come up against people who have been playing for months or potentially even years, and are frankly a lot more skilled than you, have a better collection than you, and are likely to absolutely stomp you. This will lead to you having a bad time. Now, we don't want anyone to have a bad time. The only way for you to actually come up against people of your skill level is to play ranked. So I highly, highly recommend playing in ranked for all of the steps that I'm about to describe. I cannot recommend it enough. Just do it, frankly. Now, GWENT is one of the most generous card games on the market, and there are so many ways for us to profit. And this profit allows us to do what our goal mainly is: craft more cards. Craft cards, we're trying to get to those meta decks, we're trying to get to those specializations that we spoke about earlier, and the way to do that is to earn resources. Let's just quickly run through what those resources are. The first resource is reward points. Now, reward points allow you to redeem rewards as part of the reward book that we'll cover later. Secondly, we have ore. Ore allows you to purchase kegs. Here we have card scraps that allow you to craft cards in their basic format. Here we have meteorite powder, which allows you to create premium cards, which, in case you haven't seen some of my other videos, are basically just moving versions or animated versions of the cards. They don't have any different effects. They have exactly the same impact on the game. They just look awesome. And the very last thing we have, of course, are kegs. If we decide to open a keg, we can see here that what we're going to have is basically 5 cards. So we can unveil them one by one. Bing, bang, bing, bang, boom. right? And then on our last card, we get to choose from 3. So here we click on this, and we can see the 3 cards that we get to choose from. Underneath, we can see how many of each card you already have. So for example, I have, for all of these cards, 1 normal and 2 premium versions. So that can help you decide which card you want to pull. But of course, again, going back to that meta snapshot, going back to that specialization, having that list in mind will help you a lot when it comes to choosing which cards you want to pursue. The other reason that specializing early will be really good for this is because you can see which packs certain cards come from. So for example, you might want an Iron Judgment keg because a lot of the cards in the deck you've chosen come from that expansion. So these are some things just to look out for while you're running through your deck lists and while you're choosing kegs to buy later on. So how do we earn these resources? Well, there are 3 main ways that I really want to encourage you to keep an eye on. The first one is quests. You have quests here and you can re-roll 1 quest daily. It will tell you, for example, play 40 artifact cards. Great. Now when you're playing in your ranked match, different games, maybe you try to play a few more artifacts than you otherwise would in order to complete that quest. That will get you 2 reward points. If you win 5 matches as the Monsters faction, you get 60 ore. Win 3 matches as faction Scoia'tael, you get 40 ore. So there are things like this that you can do, very easy to see. They're down here with a little exclamation mark, and then you can see your quests here. Let's say I don't want to do this quest anymore. I click the reroll. And we wait. And now it's play 10 matches for 60 ore, right? So I can play 10 matches, you can play 10 matches. It's great. So you can do it that way as well. Now, one of the best aspects of Gwent that makes it so free to play and so generous are dailies. Now, dailies refer to crown wins. So these crown progression rewards are actually based on how many rounds you win in a day. In other words, even if you lose every match, if you win rounds, and like those half crowns that you get for winning a round, then those count toward getting these rewards. So that means that in the early stages, if you play 6 games and you lose 6 games, but you've won 1 round in each of those games, you're still going to get rewards. You don't have to win all the time. And this is, of course, especially useful for new players who are probably not going to win a lot. Though, as I said, if you play in ranked, you'll have a better chance, so do that. So as you can see here, this is the basic information that you need. I'll put a link to this article down there so that you can check it out. But basically you get minor rewards for 2 rounds and 4 rounds. At 6 rounds, you've completed the first tier of daily crown progression rewards, and then you get 2 reward points for that. So basically that's just tier 1. As you can see, there's also tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4. So if you're playing a lot of Gwent, you will continue to get these rewards simply for playing. Now, the third way to get resources is through achievements, also known as contracts. Now, to have a look at what these are, you just click into your profile and click on contracts. Here you will see many contracts. Hang on, there you go. Many contracts, which will grant rewards. So for example, this one's called All In. If you win the first round in an online match with no cards in your hand remaining, i.e. you spend all 10 cards in the first round and you win, then you get 1 reward point. Not every single time, of course, just the first time you achieve it. So these little achievements get your reward points. They get progressively harder, of course, and you can see that it gets to the point where you know, you have to win 100 matches with a certain ability, or similar things. Arena, there are specific rewards for Arena as well, specific rewards for how you form your collection, for seasonal mode. There are all kinds of different contracts, and you should definitely take the time to look through them. And if you want to have a bit of fun, challenge yourself. Like, find one that you think you can get to but will be a bit hard, and go for it, and then you will hopefully profit. Okay, so you're all set, you're playing your faction, you're playing in ranked, you're checking your quests, you're doing your daily 6 round wins, you're looking at your achievements, and you're winning reward points. So now what do you do with them? Well, it's quite simple. If you click on the key, it will take you to your reward book. Once you have a look in any of the different areas, here we go. So this is the reward book as a whole. If we click in, for example, into Nilfgaard, you can see that I've attained some of these rewards and there are others I haven't. Now, it's really up to you which direction you go with your reward points. The number here refers to how many reward points it takes to go there. So if I click on that, I'm going to get 250 ore. If I click here, I'm going to get 120 meteorite powder. So how do I know which way to go? Well, depends what I want. Do I want to get Nilfgaard kegs and improve on my Nilfgaard collection? Or do I want a skin because I just want to look really cool when I'm playing? Maybe I want more movie cards, so I want to prioritize taking any train that has meteorite powder on it. It doesn't really matter. There isn't a right or a wrong answer. I will say that if you have specialized in a faction, I would recommend going through that faction's reward book because you are more likely to find things that are useful to you. However, in the end, just hover, click around, find what you like and go for it. There's really no right or wrong way to do the reward book. The best thing is as well that as you go, you get more bits of text here too. And if you're really into lore, then maybe that's also an angle that you want to take as well. Now, of course, the other thing you can do with all these resources that you've earned is to craft cards. And that is really our main goal here. You have the deck that you're working towards and you want cards that fit in that deck. So let's say that I want Endrega Lava. Now here you see I could get a premium version of this card for 80 scraps and 200 meteorite powder. Alternatively, I could get the normal version for just 80 scraps. I'm going to get the premium version because I'm feeling in a spending kind of mood. So all you have to do here is click on the craft button like this. Yes, I want to pay that cost. They craft it and bada bing, bada boom. We now have that card. Pretty simple. But the other thing to remember is that you might want to try your luck at pulling this card from a keg first. So maybe your first priority should be to spend your ore on kegs for the chosen expansion. Now, this symbol here tells you which expansion this is from. In this case, Iron Judgment. If you're not sure which symbols align with which expansion, there's a really easy way to see, which is that here, when you're filtering cards, you can actually see here which one they come from. So if you want to check which expansion your cards come from, maybe you have the deck open, you can have a look. Okay, most of the cards in this deck come from Crimson Curse, let's say. Then you want to buy more Crimson Curse kegs than normal kegs. There are plenty of different ways to go about it, but that's definitely one way to check and to prioritize your kegs. Obviously, if you're going to pull a card from a keg, you want to do that before you craft that card, because otherwise you just feel a bit like, ah, shit, I just crafted that card, just spent my resources, and now I've pulled it from a keg. So I would definitely recommend purchasing the kegs and opening the kegs before you actually go and craft that card. Now let's jump into my 2 bonus tips. My number 1 tip is do not mill cards. Now I know I said to specialize in a faction. I know I said let's go for these cards in a certain deck. And you think, oh, if I just mill this one card, maybe I can be able to access this other card that is in this deck that I want. Don't do it. Maybe right now you're not playing monsters and you think, oh, I don't need a Keltullus. What's Keltullus ever done for me? Sorry, hold on to it, because the cost of crafting that later, it's not going to be worth it, and you almost certainly will end up needing it later. Having a full collection is not just a matter of pride, it is also something that becomes extremely useful when new decks come out in future. With future expansions, cards change, different decks change power, suddenly you want to play a deck you've never played or a faction you've never played before, and you're laughing if you've got these cards already. If you mill them all, you're gonna have a bad time, and we don't want anyone to have a bad time. Do not mill your spare cards. Be patient. Gwent is a very generous game. Do your dailies, do your quests, do your contracts, and you will be able to craft a meta deck much faster than you think. My second bonus tip is to improve your game knowledge. Now, I'm not just being self-serving when I say watch streams, watch YouTube videos, read the Team Aretuza Academy, which I will link down there. It is a terrific resource for newbies to learn the game. Watch educational streamers like Shinmiri and really learn to improve your game. Do you want a long round? Do you want a short round? Why do you play certain cards in a certain order? All of these things are things you should learn and will come over time. You'll learn them naturally just from playing the game, but there is no substitute to hearing people who are just that little bit better than you, or sometimes a lot better than you, explain exactly how and why certain plays are made. I highly recommend it. There are so many good resources, especially on the Team Aretuza website, of course. So just check that out. Read, watch, learn. It will help a lot. Well, that's it, guys. Those are my 5 steps and 2 bonus tips for what to do after you finish the tutorial. It's the best way forward. You just focus, get your dailies in, get your reward points, profit, buy, spend, and have a great time playing Gwent. I really hope to see you around some more. If you have any ideas, feedback, suggestions, compliments, please do leave them in the comments below. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do that. It's been lovely chatting to you again, and I will see you next time.